Our next round of questions goes to MP Van Bynen. You have the floor for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This pandemic is an unprecedented and a major disruptor that foreshadows a new normal for the airline industry, the aerospace industry, and indeed in the world economy. And we know that, and we've heard a lot of discussion in terms of what's needed for the survival of the industry and for a safe restart. I note also, though, that in the Globe and Mail, they've published an article that says Canada's aviation industry needs a total overhaul, not just a bailout. And my questions would be for WestJet and for Airbus, and that is in your long term planning, what is the new normal that you see for the airline industry, and what do you see as critical elements that are needed to respond to these changes? I'll start with WestJet.
Sure. Thank you so much for your question. I think the first thing to note is that the definition of long term in our sector is fundamentally changed. I think all of our forecasting and other issues have really changed. We're developing an investment schedule month to month now, whereas we used to do it twice a year. So everything has changed. I don't know the article you're referring to, but I can talk about some of the critical issues that you're touching on. I'm going to leave out the safe restart, Mr. Van Bynen, because we've talked a lot about that, but that is two things. First would be the prioritization of domestic travel, and the second would be a more appropriate arrivals testing regime for international traffic. But the other issue that I think you're getting to is the cost of travel. In Canada, the cost of travel has been a major achievement of WestJet. So in 2019, I believe that fares have been stagnant for about 2 decades in Canada. And we were saying in 2019 that Canada had never been more affordably connected to each other in the world than it was. So if you consider 2019 to be a very high mark for affordability and accessibility and for communities gaining access, the policies that supported that were okay in good times, but they won't work in bad times. And there was an example just yesterday of the president of Southwest Airlines made an announcement that they are going to be investing in Bellingham, Washington. And he cited government taxes and fees as the reason Southwest was investing in Bellingham, Washington. He didn't cite WestJet's plane sucks. He didn't say Swoop can't compete. We can compete globally. What he cited was government policy. So we need to be really careful about the cost of travel. The government has not supported NAV Canada or airports. Both of these key partners have had to increase their fees. That hurts Canadian travelers. So I would highlight that issue. And as it relates to aerospace, Abbotsford wants to keep developing their aerospace hub and a key and vibrant airport with commercial aviation services is a key factor for that. You've heard that today from Philippe and Jerry and others. So it's all interrelated, but the fact that a president of an American airline is citing government policy as the basis for his investment decision is troubling. And frankly, I don't think we'd accept that if it was steel or aluminum or an agricultural product. We simply wouldn't. Yep. That's Canadian jobs being exported across the border.
So in part, I understand what the challenges are, but my question is as to what end? What does the industry look like going forward?
I think in the short term, I think when we come out of this summer, I think a lot of communities are going to be surprised that their service levels are not what they were prior to COVID. There's a lot of people in our country who I don't want to say take for granted the level of investment they've had, but we were in a very good place prior to COVID. And aviation services and investment is it's not the dial on your radio. It's at a 3 today, but once we're out of COVID, hey, we're at a 9 again. It's not like that. It takes a lot of time, and it took decades to build up this infrastructure. So I think in the short term, you're going to have minimal service to start, and that's going to be correlated to government policy. What government does and does not do is going to be a key ingredient here as to the extent that we can recover.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from Airbus as well.
Yeah, I see the red card, so I will be very fast.
Sounds
If
good.
I
Very,
may,
very
I don't know.
quickly.
I don't know if yeah.
We
So for me, the two main things that I think will change are competitiveness will need to be increased because we will see a lot of competitive pressure coming from all across the world again, and I think that's going to be one key element. And the second one is obviously the sustainability of travel and the sustainability, the carbon footprint. And there, the green portion and the green investment will be extremely important.
Thank you.
thank you very much. We will now start our